Well. The energy coming in right now is loud, sharp, and exposing every hidden intention that's been hovering around you. Somebody really thought they could step in the ring with you, thinking they were on your level, thinking they could compete with you, thinking they could challenge you spiritually, mentally, energetically. And it backfired on them harder than anything they ever experienced. They walked into a ring they were never qualified to enter. They swung first, they poked first, they initiated the first move, and within minutes, everything they projected came flying back at their own head, knocking them down, knocking them out, knocking the ego straight out their chest. They underestimated you so bad that they didn't even realize they were fighting someone who's been trained by hardship, sharpened by betrayal, refined by ascension, backed by spirit, and protected by unseen forces that don't play about you. The bell didn't even finish ringing before they were on the floor, spiritually choking on their own intentions. Spirit is exposing the fact that this person really believed they had the upper hand. They thought you were soft, passive, unaware, distracted, untrained. They thought you were someone they could run circles around. They thought you were someone they could lie on, manipulate, confuse, outplay. They thought your calmness was weakness. They thought your quiet moves were uncertainty. They mistook your peace for vulnerability. They mistook your gentleness for fear. And every single one of those assumptions is exactly why they lost before the match even started. Spirit keeps showing this image. Someone pacing back and forth, rehearsing how they're going to defeat you, how they're going to embarrass you, how they're going to expose you, how they're going to bring you down. And the whole time they had no idea they were preparing their own downfall. It's giving desperation. It's giving delusion. It's giving someone swinging at shadows while you're on a completely different frequency. Already upgraded, already elevated, already guided beyond their reach. What's wild is the way everything is collapsing around this person right now. And it's not small collapse either. It's collapse that embarrasses them publicly. Collapse that confuses the people who believed their lies. Collapse that exposes their true character. Collapse that forces them to sit alone and face the parts of themselves they tried. No. So hard to project onto you. Spirit keeps saying they swung first, not knowing you were protected by every confrontation you didn't respond to, every insult you didn't absorb, every trap you stepped over, every betrayal you healed from. You were never unguarded. You were never unprepared. You were never easy prey. You were never there. Punching bag, you were chosen for discipline that turned you into a professional fighter without even trying. This person is dazed right now, disoriented, spiritually bruised, energetically limping. They didn't expect the recoil. They didn't expect their own energy to boomerang with 10 times the force. They didn't expect their own mouth to expose them. They didn't expect their actions to trap them. They didn't expect their intentions to reveal themselves under pressure. And now it's showing. People around them are confused as to why their life suddenly took a nosedive. People around them are whispering about the sudden chaos circling them. People around them are noticing the shift. They're noticing the bruises. Spiritual, emotional, social. They're noticing how drained this person is. They're noticing how paranoid this person has become. They're noticing how jumpy and triggered they are. Someone stepped in the ring with you thinking you were alone, not realizing you walk into every battle with spirit on your left, ancestors on your right, divine protection behind you, intuition in front of you. and a whole lineage clearing the path before your feet even hit the ground. Spirit is highlighting that you never needed to fight back. That's what knocks them out the hardest. You didn't throw a punch. You didn't argue. You didn't return the energy. You didn't defend yourself. You didn't stoop to their level. Your restraint was the strike. Your detachment was the hit. Your silence was the uppercut. Your elevation was the finishing blow. When you walked away, the match ended. And the moment you disconnected emotionally, physically, spiritually, everything they tried to throw at you hit them instead. Spirit is saying they entered a ring where the rules were different. In your ring, the truth always wins. In your ring, intention always exposes itself. In your ring, protection always catches the blow before it reaches you. So when they tried to send energy to your corner, it didn't land on you. It landed exactly where it originated. There's this heavy emphasis on embarrassment. Spirit keeps repeating the word embarrassment because this person is being humbled in real time. Everything they said about you is backfiring. Everything they plotted is collapsing. Everything they tried to make people believe about you is melting under the pressure of evidence. People are starting to look at this person differently. People are pulling back. People are giving side eyes. People are whispering. People are asking questions. Someone thought they could build their reputation by tearing down yours and ended up tearing their own foundation apart. They thought they were throwing shade. Turns out they were just revealing what kind of person they really are. They tried to target someone who carries divine backing, and life is teaching them exactly why that was their biggest mistake. Everything this person did was fueled by insecurity. Spirit keeps showing that their biggest trigger was that you never needed to prove anything. You don't try to be liked. You don't try to be seen. You don't try to be dominant. You don't try to be the center of attention. You just are. Your energy speaks before you do. Your aura enters a room before your body does. Your presence shifts atmospheres without effort, and that's what made them feel threatened long before they ever admitted it. They kept trying to figure out why people respected you, why people gravitated toward you, why people trusted you, why your name carried weight, why your energy carried clarity, why you moved with alignment, why you weren't fazed by gossip, why you didn't crumble under pressure, why you stayed calm while they panicked. Every question they asked turned into resentment, and resentment turned into competition, and competition turned into attack, and attack turned into downfall. Spirit keeps saying this wasn't just jealousy. This was obsession disguised as rivalry. This person watched you harder than your supporters. They studied you. They monitored your moves. They monitored your life. They monitored your upgrades. They monitored your blessings. They thought the more they watched, the more leverage they'd gain. But the more they studied you, the more exposed they became. You were never in the same category as them. You were never running the same race. You were never fighting for the same recognition. You were never after the same validation. They were competing with you while you were competing with your past self. And that mismatch is exactly why they got spiritually knocked out. This person underestimated spirit. That's the core of the whole situation. They thought everything was about physical actions. They thought everything was about what they could say, what they could manipulate, what they could distort. They never understood that you're someone who is spiritually governed, someone who is divinely monitored, someone who is intuitively guided, someone who receives warnings before attacks, Someone who gets nudged away from the wrong people at the right time? Someone who is protected from hits you'll never even know were aimed at you. They thought they were fighting you. They didn't know if they were fighting your protection. There's something else Spirit keeps bringing up. Your restraint is haunting them. They expected a reaction. They expected anger. They expected confrontation. They expected you to break character. They expected you to lose control. They expected you to expose yourself emotionally. They expected you to beat them at their level. But you did the opposite. You detached, you elevated, you focused on yourself. You minded your business. You upgraded your life. And that's what kept knocking them spiritually unconscious over and over. Every time they threw something, you grew. Every time they sent doubt, you rose. Every time they sent doubt, you rose. Every time they wished failure, you transformed. Every time they attempted to attack, you leveled up. They didn't understand how someone could be so unbothered and still keep winning. Spirit keeps showing that this person didn't understand your endurance. They didn't know what you've survived. They didn't know what you've healed from. They didn't know what you've held alive. They didn't know how many battles Spirit already trained you through. They didn't know how many times you rebuilt yourself. They didn't know how many times you've stood alone. They didn't know how much spiritual discipline you carry. They mistook your softness for fragility. They mistook your kindness for resiliency. They mistook your kindness for naivety. They mistook your stillness for unawareness, and all of that led them straight into a battle they could never win. Their biggest wound right now is that they exposed themselves trying to expose you. People see through them. People see their motives. People see their jealousy. People see their motives, their insecurities. People see how forced their confidence is. People see how unstable their energy is. People see the desperation in their moves. People see the envy behind their actions. And people are slowly distancing themselves because energy doesn't lie. When someone steps in the ring with a chosen one, there is always spiritual announcement. The universe doesn't let that go unnoticed. Their downfall becomes the lesson. Their collapse becomes the warning. Their karma becomes the example, and their embarrassment becomes the confirmation. Spirit is saying, don't look back. Don't let pity make you reopen doors. Don't let nostalgia make you forget the truth. Don't let softness make you second guess your boundaries. What happened was necessary. The knockout wasn't cruelty, it was clarity. Their downfall isn't your responsibility. It's their reflection. Their wounds aren't your burden, they're their consequence. You weren't meant to carry them. You weren't meant to save them. You weren't meant to teach them directly. Spirit handled that for you. And right now they're realizing they should have never swung in your direction. They should have never tested someone who carries this much spiritual weight. Because when Spirit steps into the ring on your behalf, the match stops being fair for anyone who came in with hidden motives. And Spirit is showing this clearly. The moment they swung at you energetically, verbally, spiritually, emotionally, that was the moment the referee on the other side sounded the horn and said, "Time to correct this." They thought the fight was between you and them, but it was never that small. The day they triggered forces that have been protecting you long before you even realized you were chosen. They triggered consequences they don't have the strength or spiritual discipline to handle. They triggered exposure they never prepared for. And what hit them wasn't your rage. It was divine correction. Right now, this person is walking around confused about how everything flipped so fast. One minute they thought they had the upper hand. One minute they thought they were building a storyline where you'd be the embarrassed one. You'd be the defeated one. You'd be the one people doubted. But the moment they made the first move, everything around them shifted. Doors started closing. Opportunities dried up. People stopped trusting them. People started pulling back. That's what happens when you punch at someone who carries divine backing. You swing into your own karma. Spirit keeps repeating this phrase. They misread your spirit. They thought you were naive. They thought you were unable. They thought you were unaware. They thought you didn't understand the energy behind their actions. They thought you didn't sense the shift in their tone, their intentions, their envy. But the truth is, you were 10 steps ahead the whole time. You saw the betrayal before it surfaced. You sensed the jealousy before they spoke it. You felt the shift before they acted on it. That's why you didn't crumble when they made their move. You were already spiritually prepared. Someone stepped in a ring thinking they were facing the old version of you, the one who tolerated too much, the one who ignored red flags, the one who ignored red flags, the one who gave people the benefit of the doubt, the one who assumed others had good intentions, the one who kept offering grace. But they weren't fighting the old you. They swung at the version of you that healed, the version of you that elevated, the version of you that spirit refined through challenges they never survived themselves. They swung at someone who already passed every test life threw at them. They swung at someone who turned pain into discernment and betrayal into wisdom. They swung at someone who no longer moves out of emotion. They move out of alignment. That's why the knockout was instant. That's why the collapse was fast. That's why the consequences are heavy. They weren't prepared for the version of you they attacked, and Spirit is emphasizing this heavily. This person didn't just lose, they lost publicly. They lost in front of the same people they were trying to impress. They lost in front of people who used to believe their story. They lost in front of people who once stood behind them. Because Spirit wanted the lesson to be undeniable. Spirit wanted them to learn that you don't target someone with a clean heart and expect a dirty win. You don't challenge someone who moves with divine alignment and expect to walk away untouched. You don't attack someone who's been guided, shaped, and built through spiritual discipline. The biggest reason they lost is because they fought the wrong opponent. They fought someone who doesn't operate out of ego. They fought someone who doesn't compete with others. You don't fight people. You fight for your growth, your peace, your purpose. They came in with ego and pride, and you walked in with protection and purpose. Ego always loses to purpose. Pride always loses to alignment. Deception always loses to clarity. Right now, this person is slipping into deep self-pity, confusion, and emotional disarray. They're trying to understand why they're suddenly drained, why their connections are dissolving, why nothing is going smoothly, why their plans are falling apart. But Spirit says that's what happens when someone tries to discredit a soul that was sent to expose falsehood through existence alone. You didn't even need to prove them wrong. You didn't need to argue. You didn't need to plead your case. Life spoke louder than words. Life hit harder than any punch they threw. Life revealed exactly who they were and who you truly are. There's something else Spirit is highlighting. They're embarrassed because they lost to someone who didn't fight back. That's the part that stings the most. They threw hits, They spread rumors. They orchestrated conflict. They tried to turn people against you. They tried to create narratives around your name. Meanwhile, you were focused on healing, leveling up, minding your purpose. You weren't even in the ring with them. They were punching the air, and the air hit them back. Now they're sitting there shocked that you didn't break. Shocked that nothing they did stuck. Shocked that their attempts only revealed their own insecurities. Spirit keeps showing that this person is replaying everything in their head. They're thinking about how they could have approached the situation differently. How they could have kept you around. How they could have stayed aligned instead of competitive. How they could have grown with you instead of fighting you. But that's the part they struggle to accept. The moment they chose rivalry over respect, the match ended for them spiritually. You weren't meant to stand beside them on the next level. Their intentions disqualified them. Their envy pushed them out. Their actions exposed their spirit. This person is carrying heavy regret right now, but it's mixed with anger, not anger at themselves. Anger at the fact that you didn't fold the way they expected. They're mad that you elevated through the blows. Mad that you stayed grounded. Mad that you remained calm. Mad that you remained calm. Mad that the universe clearly favors you. Mad that their own life is reflecting their energy back to them. And because they can't handle accountability, they've been silently blaming you for the consequences they created. But that's where Spirit steps in again and says, the one who threw the punch is the one responsible for the outcome. Spirit keeps showing that this person is exhausted because they put more energy into fighting you than building themselves. They obsessively watched you, tried to decode you, tried to predict you, tried to understand how you kept winning. All that energy they wasted trying to knock you off balance could have been used to grow their own life. But they wanted your downfall more than their own progress, and now they're paying for the imbalance. Their life is a reflection of the fight they started. Their instability is a reflection of their intentions. Their confusion is a reflection of their self-deception. There's another layer Spirit wants to bring through. This wasn't just a personal conflict. This was a spiritual test. This was a moment designed to show you that you've officially leveled out of the version of life where people had access to you freely. You've reached a point where Spirit evaluates everyone who approaches you. Anyone who comes with hidden agendas gets exposed immediately. Anyone who comes with envy gets spiritually blocked. Anyone who comes with manipulation gets revealed before they can fully execute. You're not in the season you used to be in. You're in a protected phase where anyone who steps toward you with ill intentions gets knocked out before they reach your field. And this person's downfall is the proof. They thought you were unprotected. They thought they could take advantage of your kindness. They thought they could play with your energy because you don't retaliate. They didn't know your retaliation is handled by Spirit. They didn't know you have ancestors who don't tolerate disrespect. They didn't know you have ancestors who don't tolerate disrespect. They didn't know that stepping to you is equivalent to stepping into a spiritual battlefield they're not trained for. They didn't know that your elevation has placed you in a different bracket altogether. Right now, this person fears your calmness. That calmness is unsettling them because it confirms you're unbothered, aligned, and moving forward. They don't understand how someone can walk away mid-conflict and still win the entire battle. They don't understand how someone can say nothing and still be right. They don't understand how someone can stand alone and still be supported. Your stability in the middle of their chaos is the knockout echoing through their life. Your alignment is what's shaking their spirit. Your peace is what's destroying their ego. Spirit is saying the knockout wasn't meant to hurt them. It was meant to wake them up. But whether they learn or not is their choice. Some people don't learn from pain. They blame from pain. And this person is still battling with that. They want to blame you. But every time they try, life shows them the truth. Life shows them the hit they threw. Life shows them the energy they projected. Life shows them the intention they hid. They're surrounded by reminders of their own behavior. This is the part Spirit really wants you to hear. Your hands are clean. You didn't start this. You didn't escalate it. You didn't participate in the fight. You simply stood in your truth. That was enough to win. You didn't knock them out. Spirit did. All you did was walk in integrity. That was the punch they couldn't recover from. And now the energy is shifting again. What's coming next is even bigger. Because while they're trying to recover from the blow life gave them, Spirit is preparing your next elevation. The same ring they got knocked out in is the ring you're about to step forward from. Stronger, clearer, more aligned, and more protected than ever. Because Spirit is showing something very clear. The knockout wasn't the finale. It was the transition. The hit they took wasn't just the end of their attempt to challenge you. It was the beginning of your rise into a completely different tier of power. And the most intense part of this shift is that your next level isn't subtle. It's not quiet. It's not gentle. It's loud. It's visible. It's undeniable. And it's going to make every person who doubted you question why they ever thought they could stand against you in the first place. Right now, the atmosphere around your life is charged. Spirit is showing this image of you stepping over the ropes of that ring, leaving behind the version of you that ever tolerated disrespect, uncertainty, or watered down connections. This next phase is not about survival, it's about dominance. Not dominance over people, but dominance over your purpose, your direction, your spiritual clarity. For so long, you were operating in environments beneath your capacity, surrounded by individuals who couldn't comprehend your light, your discipline, your restraint, your intuition. Season is over. You're entering a stretch of life where everything you've built internally is going to manifest externally. The world is about to see what Spirit has seen all along. And the irony is that the very person who swung at you is about to witness it firsthand. Spirit isn't hiding you anymore. Spirit isn't cloaking you in protection by making you invisible. Spirit is elevating you openly because the same way their intentions were exposed publicly, your rise will be unmissable. They will see the glow up. They will see the expansion. They will see the access you're being granted, the opportunities being offered to you, the connections forming around you. They will see everything they tried to block become the very thing that skyrockets you forward. And instead of celebrating with you, they'll be watching from a distance, clutching the consequences of their own actions. This next level isn't just about elevation, it's about separation. Spirit is removing every lingering attachment, every past energy, every subtle distraction, every person who could have held you back, every internal doubt that tried to whisper lies into your mind. Spirit is clearing the field so that when you step into this new arena, nothing from the past can weigh you down. The knockout wasn't just for them, it was for you too. It closed a cycle that was draining your power. It finalized a lesson that was keeping your potential on pause. It sealed a door that needed to be locked permanently. And Spirit is saying this: your power is about to activate in ways you haven't even experienced yet. Not the quiet strength you've carried, not the subtle intuition you followed. This is a bolder version of you, a more intentional version of you, a more grounded version of you. The knockout cleared the interference. It removed the static in your intuition. It silenced the external noise. And now your inner voice is louder, sharper, and more precise. Spirit is heightening your discernment, amplifying your psychic awareness, increasing your spiritual stamina. You're stepping into a phase where you'll see through people instantly. Their motives won't confuse you anymore. Their projections won't affect you. Their energy won't penetrate your field. You're untouchable now, in ways you weren't before. And this is where the real shift happens. Everything they tried to weaponize against you is turning into fuel for your elevation. The doubt they tried to plant, it's turning into motivation. The lies they tried to spread, they're turning into proof of your authenticity. The setbacks they tried to orchestrate, they're turning into setups for bigger opportunities. Spirit has flipped the entire narrative upside down. They thought they were knocking you down, but they were clearing your path. They thought they were hurting you, but they were training you. They thought they were isolating you, but they were pushing you into alignment with your destiny. Their knockout was your activation. Spirit is showing an image of you walking forward with this cold clarity in your eyes. Not anger, not bitterness, but a deep understanding that everything had purpose. You don't resent the fight, you learn from it. You don't resent the challenger, they exposed your strength. You don't resent the pain, it sharpened your awareness. This is the version of you that moves with intention, not emotion. This is the version of you that is strategic with your energy. This is the version of you that no longer entertains low-level battles. You only step into rings that align with your purpose now, and what Spirit is making extremely clear is that your elevation is going to be rapid. You're moving into a cycle where blessings that were delayed are being released. Opportunities that were blocked are opening. Connections that were stalled are aligning. The ring they got knocked out in is the exact space your next chapter rises from. It's symbolic, it's powerful. It's a reminder that your path never depended on their respect or their approval. You were chosen long before they decided to pick a fight with you. And this is where the energy gets even deeper. Spirit is saying, your victory wasn't just personal. It was generational. You broke a pattern that's been repeating through your lineage. You ended a cycle of being underestimated, overlooked, betrayed, attacked, or dismissed. You proved that you don't get knocked out by projections. You knock out projections by standing in your truth. You showed the universe that you're ready for what comes next. And because you passed that test, the elevation coming toward you isn't just an upgrade, it's a reward. This is a rising that can't be stopped, a rising that can't be sabotaged, a rising that can't be sabotaged, a rising that can't be challenged, because the fighter spirit placed inside you isn't loud, it's disciplined, it's controlled, it comes from a deeper place than ego. It comes from purpose, and people can sense it now. They can sense the shift in your energy. They can sense the shrift in your aura. They can sense the alignment in your steps. And it's shaking people, not because you're intimidating, but because you're unshakable. This new era is powerful because Spirit is placing you in environments meant for people who carry discipline, presence, and clarity. Environments where you won't have to shrink yourself, tone yourself down, or guard your light. You're stepping into a phase where the people around you will value your strength instead of feeling threatened by it. People will gravitate toward your energy instead of trying to drain it. Doors will open because of your authenticity instead of closing because of someone's jealousy. This is the elevation that the knockout prepared you for. It was a clearing. It was a removal of dead weight. It was a spiritual reset. Spirit keeps showing you standing tall, while the person who attacked you is still scrambling to understand how they lost a fight they initiated. They're confused because the rules they expected don't apply in your world. In their world, people fold, people react, people break. But you didn't do any of that. You stayed grounded, you stayed still, you stayed aligned, and that stability is what knocked them out. It showed them what real power looks like. Power that doesn't need to be aggressive, loud, or reckless. Power that doesn't need to prove anything. Power that comes from connection with spirit. Right now, this person is trying to figure out how you keep rising while they keep sinking. They're trying to understand why the universe keeps favoring you. They're stuck in a loop of replaying how they ended up losing the fight. But the answer is simple. They stepped into a ring that wasn't theirs. They stepped to someone protected. They stepped to someone chosen. They stepped to someone who doesn't fight out of ego. And Spirit is saying something very important. This was never a fight. This was a revelation. A revelation of who you are. A revelation of who they are. A revelation of how energy works. A revelation of why they were never meant to be in your circle. Their knockout is their wake-up call. But your rise is your confirmation. Confirmation that you've grown. Confirmation that you're ready. Confirmation that you've been refined through challenges that made you unstoppable. You don't operate on fear. You operate on intuition. You don't move out of impulse. You move out of discipline. And this new era of your life is demanding that strength. Spirit is placing you in a higher spiritual ranking. Not because you fought someone, but because you didn't need to. They swung. You stayed aligned, and alignment always wins. You walked through this test with grace that they couldn't comprehend, and now Spirit is granting you access to blessings that were waiting on your maturity, protection that was waiting on your maturity, protection that was waiting on your stability. This next phase of your journey is where your influence expands. People who never acknowledged you before are going to see you clearly. People who didn't support you before are going to admire your resilience. People who doubted your capabilities are going to witness success after success. And the person who tried to take you down, they're going to see all of it, because Spirit is making your elevation visible not for revenge, but for testimony. Your story is becoming an example of what happens when someone aligned with purpose is attacked by someone aligned with ego. Ego collapses. Purpose rises. Ego sabotages. Purpose builds. Ego reacts. Purpose observes. The difference in vibration between you and them is the reason the fight ended the way it did. You were chosen for a higher path. They were functioning from a lower place. And now the universe is showing both of you the consequences of your alignment. Spirit is emphasizing that your rise is not accidental. It's overdue. You've done the work. You've healed through battles no one saw. You've grown through seasons no one understood. You've carried wounds with grace and transformed them into wisdom. You've moved in truth even when others lied on your name. You stayed firm even when you were underestimated. And all of that has built a foundation that cannot be shaken. You didn't earn this elevation overnight. It was forged through every test you overcame. The knockout was simply the final confirmation that you'd done with old levels, and Spirit is saying this clearly. Get ready to receive what you were overlooked for. Get ready to step into opportunities you once thought were out of reach. Get ready for recognition that aligns with your effort. Get ready for connections that match your energy. Get ready for doors opening in places you didn't even knock. Because this season isn't about chasing, convincing, proving, or struggling. This is about receiving. What's coming toward you now is accelerated. It's precise. It's guided and it's protected. No one can interfere. No one can block it. No one can sabotage it. The ring is yours now. Not for fighting, but for stepping into your next role, your next chapter, your next level of power. Spirit removed the challenger so the champion could rise. And you are that champion, not because you defeated someone, but because you outgrew the need to. Their knockout was your liberation. Their downfall was your separation. Their downfall was your innovation. And your attack was your initiation and your elevation. It's the beginning of a new era that no one, not even your past, can stop.